Hello everyone, in this video I will be comparing the differences between the 3K and 4K engines respectively. And yes, I know that some of you guys may be thinking K engines, isn't that a Honda only engine? No sir, Toyota has made K series motors long before Honda ever put the K name in their all popular K series high performance engines. Although, for Toyota, their K engines are mostly for economy with the exception of the 3KR engine, but more on that later. Alright, just a quick tidbit of information before I start comparing these two engines. The Toyota K series engines were produced from 1966 through 2007. Now, to the 3K. The 3K engine is an 8-valve overhead valve OHV with a displacement of 1.2 liters or 1166 cc's and was produced from 1969 through 1977. Bore and stroke dimensions are 77 millimeters for bore and 66 millimeters for stroke, making it an over-square engine. All told, it likes to rev. There was also a version equipped with twin carbs called the 3KB, and a 3KC variant was also produced to comply with the strict California emission standards. Compression ratio. Compression ratios for the 3K engine range from 9 to 1 all the way up to 13 to 1. Now to explain the 3KR engine. This engine was made for the then popular JTCC circuit racing class in Japan and was equipped with a Denso mechanical fuel injection, along with individual throttle bodies in order to extract the most power possible without changing the displacement, which stayed at 1.2 liters. Power numbers were impressive for this engine, considering the technology back then where electronic fuel injection and stage injection was unheard of. The 3KR produces 183 horsepower at 9,000 RPM, and that is a huge jump from its pedestrian emissions compliant brethren that only made 64 up to 77 horsepower depending on the specifications. I know that I may not have listed all of what made 3KR great, but that would be a whole topic in itself, and I will be making a separate video solely on the 3KR. But before moving on to the 4K engine, the 3KR also has a double overhead cam cylinder head made by Yamaha for racing only. Also, the other name for the 3KR is the 137E. Now, the 4K engine, unfortunately, sorry to disappoint you guys, but this engine did not have a race engine variant. The 4K engine was produced from 1977 through 1989 with a bore and stroke of 75 and 73 millimeters respectively. It still does retain the overhead valve specification similar to the other economy-based K-series engines. In 1980, it produced 59 horsepower, being the lowest, and the highest is the Japanese version producing 75 horsepower, dubbed the 4KU. There was also an EFI version dubbed the 4KE, E for electronic fuel injection, but it was a very basic form of fuel injection in which a lot of hashiriya or street racers at the time would convert it back to carburation and then tune it up to race in the mountains along with their mates. Oh, and the 4K had a displacement of 1.3 liters, just 100 cc, roughly higher than the 3K, but not enough to make a huge difference in power and torque considering the economy variance, because comparing it with the 3KR would be completely unfair. Lastly, the 4K was also a popular swap for many Toyota cars back in the day. If you're looking for performance on a budget, because like I said earlier about the Hashiria, that this engine is very popular because you can pick up one or two very cheaply, and a couple of breathing and carb mods would net you good results so that you can have a fun tackling the mountains with your mates. In conclusion, I think that they are both great engines, but if you are looking for something with pedigree and money is no object, I highly recommend getting the 3KR. If, if you can get your hands on one, because of the amount of R&D that Toyota and Yamaha put into this engine to make it competitive in racing. But budget is restricted. The 4K is the way to go due to it being easily modified and quick rebore to increase displacement to get more torque, and torque is what you want in tackling the mountains or your regular have fun going to the grocery store to get that instant fast feeling without going too fast. As they say, it's better to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow, and you won't be rebuilding the engine as often as you would the 3KR because it's not a full-blown race engine.